Francis, your taxes are in order.
The
Accountant joke. Get it?
No.
Bold.
What was the joke?
Because I look like an accountant, Francis.
Oh, I thought you were trying
Which is a little bit stereotypical considering my heritage.
Do you have a family of accountants?
Oh, God, yeah. 2 in the family.
All right, Serie A preview. Yes, we are not forgetting anyone. Covering all bases. See these bases, Jason?
Wait, bases is a baseball reference. We don't got to talk about
you have to cover that one.
Actually, someone commented. It's very strange what has been happening on Twitter between our accounts, TYT Sports accounts, and the commentators. Commentors. Okay. Weirdly enough, like we did like a tweets and memes as part of the Pedro clip that was up yesterday, if I'm planning this out correctly, or earlier this week. Pedro,
okay.
The Chelsea guy, yeah. So, weirdly enough, like I got sent in, so did you, so did TYT Sports, a few tweets and memes about that, and we took them like asking, are you going to do this clip, like 5 minutes before we shot the clip. Okay, that's weird, but maybe it's a coincidence. And then, like 4 people comment, like, are you guys going to do a Serie A preview too? 5 minutes before we actually shoot the Serie A preview clip. I just checked the comments on my phone, because I can check it. That's how I respond to them. And
there's a mole in the camp.
I think
it might be the TYT Lizard.
We're not giving the TYT Lizard credit. That thing is so dumb. I think it's our executive producer, Dan, secretly trolling our own show.
With different profiles?
Runs.
For me, Serie A last year, resurgence forward, Juventus making the Champions League final, huge step. Lost a bunch of players this season, bringing in another bunch of players. I'm doing the Jason Rubin table slap.
I've been working on that. I think I'm getting better at it, too.
I know, I'm taking it now.
So, Serie A, in terms of the table, competition is a lot closer, at least, than the Bundesliga or La Liga. Well, La Liga does have, I take that back. Whoa, calm. Whew. Everyone, take a deep breath.
Don't say another Man City fan joke.
No, I learned my lesson on that. Take a deep breath, everybody. Because La Liga does have Atletico, Barca, Real, so there's like competition at the top, but at least top to bottom competition.
Yeah.
I like watching the Serie A. I really do enjoy watching the Serie A. It's a slower pace, easier to follow.
Yeah, there's an anticipation level that's coming in this season because based on transfers this season for Inter Milan and AC Milan, the 2 teams that were just absolute powerhouses in Europe at one point, devastating in form, have spent big. And they've got rid of some deadwood. AC Milan buying big, of course, Inter Milan as well. You get Jovetic, Icardi in there, and that's going to lead us to the first thing I want to talk about is who will be top goal scorer. Then I'll go into the main teams and talk about the movement amongst their teams. Juventus, a lot of movement, a lot of it that pained me to see, especially after them nearly winning the Champions League. But let's take a look, first of all, at the betting odds for top goal scorer this season in Serie A, and this will lead us into our preview. So, as I mentioned there, Icardi for Inter Milan leads away 6-1. Fantastic signing going to Inter Milan. Partnering in there with Stefan Jovetic, who I'm jumping down at 17-1. They've already seemed to link up well in pre-season. A 2-0 win over Bilbao was interesting to see for Inter Milan. And they look like they're trying to make their way back. And I would love nothing more than to see it, especially with AC Milan. So it's going to be exciting to see Icardi and Jovetic partnering there. Of course, Mandzukic.
That's how you says, I says that Mandzukic is not going to be enough to fill the hole that Tevez is leaving.
That's a good point.
Serie A, I think, benefited Tevez for the speed he had.
Yep.
Mandzukic is not as fast. Doesn't mean he won't be a good player in the Serie A, but that's a whole other part of Juventus's breakdown, which you're going to discuss in a little bit.
But did you not say that it's because he had a Z in his name?
No, it's because he has Z, not Z.
It is because he has a Z in his name. Is that not one of the mentions you said?
I don't remember. Do you have proof?
I hope
innocent
maybe
until proven guilty.
Maybe the guy who's on Twitter who's listening into all of our conversations will have taken a video.
TYT Mole.
The TYT Mole is in there, right? So can we see the rest of the players on there? Sorry for digressing. It's interesting to see some of the odds that I'm looking forward to.
Talk about Higuain being a good bet.
All right, so Edin Dzeko and now playing at Roma. So Manchester City lost 2 strikers in there.
Who doesn't have a Z in their name?
I know, there's a lot in there. But Gonzalo Higuain, I'll tell you why he's not a good bet, Jason. Because I'm not a big fan of Higuain. I criticised him a lot, especially at the point where for Napoli and their season going forward, especially in the Europa League, he missed an abundance of opportunities that could have led them through to the latter stages. And I just think that Higuain flatters to deceive on many big games. So for me, yes, he's a good player in Serie A, and I think he's found a home there compared to his latter performances at Real Madrid. But as much as I think he's a good player, he fits into the Cavani's of the world for me. He's just not as good as everyone makes him out to be, and I don't think he would be my bet. Giuseppe Rossi, always a safe bet. He's always going to perform well in that division, and I'm excited to see him continue to play.
Is that a nickname? Zeppi?
Zep.
Or Giuseppe?
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe?
Giuseppe Rossi.
Sick name.
No nickname. Luis Adriano, who was on there, he is one who is expected to be the crucial factor in the emergence of AC Milan coming back into form. And I'm excited to see him play. Big signing for them. So AC Milan, more so than Inter, struggling last season. A lower table finish is just not enough for AC Milan to continue throughout their realm. They're such a big name. You've seen the fans boycott. They were not happy with the way things were going. And for a team with that amount of history, after maybe 5-6 years ago, being in Champions League finals, being demolishing teams week in, week out, it's just not acceptable. And they've got rid of some deadwood. You've got Benera going out. You've got El Shaarawy, who's actually considered to be one of the youngest talents moving out. Fans weren't exactly happy about that, but they're making moves in the transfer window.
So quick discussion on Juventus, because I was reading up on The Guardian. Guardian did a really awesome job on their Serie A previews. Definitely check those out. The midfield for Juventus lost two, not just, great players, but staples to Juventus' style of play in Pirlo and, why am I blanking on name number
Vidal.
2? Thank you, Arturo Vidal, who's off to Bayern.
Yes.
A really good signing. But it seemed like the team revolved around them, and that's selling Tevez way too short. I understand that, but it just seemed like when you watched Juventus play and why they made the run in the Champions League, a major reason was Pirlo being a god or a demigod, with his beard and shining glory, but also Vidal simply just being a step ahead of the rest of the Serie A and a lot of the Champions League competition that he played, as seen again in the Copa America. Is Juventus's insane amount of changes in 1 year going to have a big effect, or do you think they can rise back to form and make a run in the Champions League Serie A, or do you think the Milans, both Milans, Milan A, Milan B, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Milan Rouge?
It's a good question, and it's something that I would be a little bit more reluctant to say in terms that Juventus will win the Serie A outright because of their changes. I still think they'll have a good, successful Champions League campaign because Antonio Conte has made good replacements. I still don't think that Khedira will be able to do the same job that Vidal done, especially with Khedira's injury worries and Vidal just being a phenomenal engine around the field and adds a different dynamic. However, key points, they kept Pogba, well, at least for this moment.
For a year.
Yeah, to see what happens as well. But Pogba, to be able to stay there for the next season is crucial for them to make another run at winning the Serie A and being dominant and continuing to move forward, and for having another successful Champions League campaign. The only worry that I have is, of course, you're going to have signings in there coming, trying to fill that hole in between the midfield and front two. Will be good because I think Pogba, now that Vidal's left, will take a more conceded role and drop a little bit deeper for them. And Marquisio, as I mentioned as well, one of the most underrated players, I think, in the world, staying there. He's a Juventus boy at heart. Is still crucial for them. And I think, although Pirlo did have another great season, I think his minutes would have been taken back the older he was getting on with these new players. If Khedira comes in, trying to get him more minutes, I still think he would have played and he still would have been good for another season. But at least for their future moving forward, to have Marquisio maybe take that role that Pirlo left is still going to be good for them in Pogba staying there. Now, it's the strike force that's worrying a little bit because Morata and Tevez, little and large, that was a good combination that worked. Morata is a poacher, got in the box. Tevez done a lot of the hard work, taking players away into the gaps. Mandzukic is not going to do that. He's going to give you more of an aerial threat, and you've got two big men up top who will utilise Juventus' direct approach. Now, Mandzukic can hold the ball up, allow for people to support. Morata can get into the box. I loved what Tevez offered them when he was playing there. It was so amazing to see Carlos Tevez go back to when we first seen him come across the scene in the Premier League, not as much West Ham, but when he moved on to United and City, just petrifying to play against, so aggressive. And when you hear like Buffon just admit his devastation that Tevez moved on, you can tell how much of an impact he had. So Mandzukic is a good signing, but I just don't think that they're going to have that same furiosity that they had with Morata and Mandzukic up top. So when it comes to Napoli, they have a transition period as well. Benitez moving to Real Madrid, new coach coming in. Maurizio Sarri. And now, I think that they've did a good job to keep on. I'm surprised not more people are looking at Hamsik, or Hamsik, however you want to say it. A fantastic playmaker, a little bit inconsistent, I would say, sometimes at Napoli, but a good player nonetheless. So with Caligion coming in, or however you pronounce that, probably crucified his name as well, Caligion to come in up top beside Higuain. I still think that I would want them to add another striker because Higuain is the golden boy and considered even by the Guardian to be their most important player. To take them to that next level, I felt that they had to add another goal-scoring striker because, as I mentioned with Higuain, he doesn't perform as well enough for me week in, week out. And most of it I have to talk about is AC Milan, active in the transfer market, as I mentioned, getting rid of Essien, Pizzini, Montari, these guys who were doing a job, you would say, for AC Milan, but not encompassing a youthful squad who can move forward and try and help AC Milan get back to where they are. Completely changing up their front two, and what a front two it's going to be. Hopefully, Luis Adriano and Bacca up top. I think for me, partnering them with the creator coming in, Bertolacci, coming into that midfield as well. If you get Montolivo back after a devastating injury that kind of just took Italy by storm, basically a player who just moved up through the ranks very quickly before that devastating broken leg, which hindered him for a while. Getting him fit, getting him in there to try and mature Bertolacci to come up. Both of them working together with Bacca and Adriano. I can't help but say that I'm excited, but AC Milan, of course, it can go either way. I'd like to see them make a move back towards the top. And as Inter, as we mentioned there, Jason, Dzeko. Sorry, not Dzeko, Jovetic. Jesus, so many Man City players moving in. Jovetic, who is not a bad outside bet. That's who I'm going to put my money on if I was to be making an outside bet of a top goal scorer. I think Jovetic might be.
For Manchester City last season?
Yeah.
Yes. And
he came up big in certain goals. You remember at the start of the season, he had crucial goals when he was used, but I just don't think that Pellegrini wanted to use him as much. Of course, when you've got Aguero as that front man who doesn't really need a partner, you're not going to get as much playing time as you need. But overall, looking at the activity in the transfer market as well, we were talking about Dzeko going to Roma. Juventus transition period might not work out for them as well. I think this is an opportunity for Inter and AC to try and move forward. I still, with my prediction, think that Juventus will win it. I still think that they've got that consistency, that winning mentality. It reminds me a lot of the Manchester United in 12-13, I believe, when they won the Premier League, although there was some transitions going on. It's that winning mentality that you need. And Juventus now have that installed in them, and they kept a hold of players that will be able to push them over the line, I think. But I would love to see Inter and AC push back up to second and third, but with Napoli in there, you can't count them out.
Don't forget, Juventus was, again, a Champions League win away from the treble.
Absolutely.
We're wrapping up. That's all we got.
We're wrapping up. I just like to leave that awkward pause at the end there, just to see if there was anything else, and have you look and go,
It's straight up deer in the headlights half the time.
Let's go. Serie A, looking forward to it. Predictions, Juventus, will they win it? AC Milan, new strike force, Bacca, Adriano, will they move forward? Jovetic at Inter Milan. Will Higuain be able to push Napoli forward with their new manager and with Benitez being out? Let us know. Comment section below. What a wrap up that was.